Mind Slap, we're going to be talking about why brand is king. Roll the intro. Hey everyone, Steve Irola with World of Mind Slap. Today we're talking about brand is king. So something I want to talk about is your perceived value versus your actual value. So think about it. It's your perceived value. What your customers are actually perceiving is the value of your company. It doesn't matter actually what the value is. You could have fantastic products or services, but if your customers don't perceive them to be valuable, then they're not to them. The best example I could give is take a piece of artwork that's sitting in somebody's garage collecting dust that's pinned up against an old refrigerator or something. Somebody can come over, you could show that to them and go, look, you want to sell that, want to buy that for $1,000? And they're probably not going to buy it from you. It doesn't matter the quality of the painting or the piece of artwork or whatever it is. It's what they perceive its value to be. Take that same piece of artwork, go put it in a museum, put it in a stand, shine some lights on it, put a little plaque on it, and put a $100,000 price tag. People are going to admire the art and go, wow, that's amazing, and maybe even sell it. Right? It's all in the perception of the buyer. And so that's really the best way that I could describe your brand is the perception that you are giving to your customer. So if you have a good value in your product and service, then showcase it as such, because if you don't, their perception is your product or service is that one that's sitting in the garage. So, and it's unfortunate because there's a lot of people out there today that have inferior products, but they're showcasing it right. Their services could be worse than yours. Your product could be better, but it doesn't matter because the way they're showcasing it is it's gathering the perception of their customers to think it is greater than it is. And it's unfortunate for you because they're looking at their product and looking at your product. They're making their decision not on the actual value of your product, but on the perceived value. So that's really important. So your goal as a business over the years is to build up brand equity. So you want to sculpt and harness your brand. You want to put it into a Bible or what we call a style guide, right? And these are all your guidelines and rules, and it's anything from how your logo should be used to the fonts that you use to the tone of voice that you use. And we'll do an entire another episode that's talking about the tone of voice. The types of pictures that you use to represent your company, the way your reps answer your phone calls, all of this is wrapped into your company's brand. And you can be unique in the marketplace as well. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how to be unique or some examples of being unique. But right now, to really push the importance of the brand equity that you build, I want to give an example. And I wish I could remember the article that I read this on because I would give it credit. But it brought up a very, very good point through a story. So we obviously all know who Coca-Cola is. And the reason why we know who they are is because they have done a fantastic job at doing their branding. So take Coca-Cola, and let's say you removed all of Coca-Cola's financials, take away all their money, take away all their factories, all their workers, strip them literally of everything, and make Coca-Cola rebuild from the ground up again. They would survive. They would have to come back, but based on their brand name, they could probably walk into any bank and say, we're Coca-Cola, we want this, and they would get loaned money to go back into business, and they would recover from that. Now, take the same scenario, Coca-Cola, but instead of them losing their money, let's say everybody in the world gained amnesia and had no clue who Coca-Cola was. So we left Coca-Cola with all their factories, all their money, all their labor, and we said, let's just take away their brand recognition so nobody knows who Coke is. They would not survive. They would not come back from that. And I actually agree with this 100%. Coca-Cola, the can, and it's hard to displace yourself from thinking like this because they are such a well-known brand, but they would just become some unnamed soda can that's sitting on the shelf. Because I can guarantee you, a lot of those soda cans taste exactly the same as Coca-Cola. Now, I'm not going to get into a debate whether Coca-Cola has the right sugar to carbonation ratio or anything like that. The point is those sodas are glazed over, and they would just become another can of soda or another soda company that's trying to get their name into a store and into the little markets and has a very little chance now of surviving against the big boys. And that's how Coca-Cola is. That's how strong your brand is, and that's how important it is for you to build that brand equity. All right, so here's some quick tips on how to build your brand. All right, so first of all, you want to create your brand. Don't let it happen, and although your brand may go through an evolution, you want to control and guide that. You don't want to continue doing something because that's just the way we did it. It doesn't matter how you used to do business at the beginning. There was a lot of small business owners that started their business with less than ideal circumstances, and so you did your business the way that you were able to do it.
1 hour later.
Let's see.
6 hours later.
And then, usage, or you brought on somebody else and they just did what you did, and that's building. But you really want to take a look at your brand, at your operations, and say, how do we want customers to perceive us? And then put all this information down into a brand book. And that's something that we had talked about earlier. Brand book, brand guide, style guide. You'll hear different aspects, or different blah, blah, blah. But it's basically your collection of rules that you have set for your company. And take some time to think about what those are. And then that becomes the governing body that everybody that interfaces with your company, or that works for your company, either as a volunteer or as a paid employee or whatever it is, or if there's a company that's building your brand, building your billboard, your TV ad, whatever it is, they're following this same brand. So it's important that you guide what's happening with your brand, write it down, and then make sure you enforce it and that everybody is living your company's brand. Be different. That's a big one. Be different. You don't want to fit into the same mold of anything that your competitors are doing. And there's different ways to do that. So think about it. Take an industry like car insurance, right? So take a company like AAA. So AAA has like a certain brand that they've built. So they have a lot of family-oriented stuff. They're a little bit more kind of professional looking, and it works for them. They sell car insurance. They sell a lot of car insurance because of that. But let's take another company that's taken a completely different approach, same exact product or service, somebody like Geico. So Geico has built a brand. They offer auto insurance and they have success as well. But their approach is extremely different. It's a stark contrast from AAA. Geico is a lot more playful, a lot more fun, and they connect with a certain audience that's kind of just digs their vibe that's going on. So be different. Take a look and see what your competitors are doing and differentiate yourself. And if everybody's being the serious route, maybe you consider going the more jovial route. Or if everybody's doing it this way, you see about building a brand that's the other way. So building your brand can be very strategic in the marketplace as well. So in building your brand, you should try to make an emotional connection with your audience. Make it personal. Really think about what kind of moves your audience, and what can you say and how can you approach your audience in a way that's going to be meaningful to them and that they're going to remember. So that emotional connection is really important. If you can find a way to see what events are going on in somebody's life that can make them think of your business when that event's going on, that's called a trigger. So if you can tap into that trigger and make them think of your business when something happens in their life when you're not there or actively in their space, that is the best case scenario, because that means that you have really built something memorable for them to think about when they encounter certain situations. They're going to think about your brand, and that is extremely powerful for your business. All right, so that's about it for why brand is king. If you can like and share this video, that would be fantastic. And if you're interested in getting more tips from us, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. You'll be notified when the episodes come out. That's it. Have a great one.